Welcome, and it's great to see everyone here today. My name is Becky Keneally. I'm the Chair of Performing Arts, and if you haven't been here before, it's awesome to have you in our space. This is our Rose Performance Hall, and we think it's a great place to perform. And we're all here today to celebrate the music of George Darrah, which is so exciting. Some housekeeping. Our exits are here and here. We ask you to silence your devices. Even the vibrate sound can be really distracting, so if you can do that and really be present, be here in the moment, we'd love to have you focus your attention on this concert. We have brochures in the lobby for all of our upcoming events, so please make sure you get one of those. They're blue and yellow. And if you want to be on our mailing list, we promise we won't spam you with tons and tons of emails, but there's a box with blue postcards, and if you fill those out and put it in the box, you'll be added to our mailing list. So you can find out about more great things that are happening here at the Center for the Arts in our visual and performing arts departments. So the reason why we're here, George Darrah. George is a composer, drummer, music educator, known for his versatility and passion for working in many different musical genres and settings. I won't read his whole bio, but we'll mention that he is a graduate of the Eastman School of Music with a master's degree in jazz composition, and he has composed and arranged music for the Boston Pops Orchestra, the Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra, the Tokyo Jazz Festival, Dave Liebman, Bobby Shew, Eddie Daniels, Ingrid Jensen, and Jane Monheit. He's performed with Sutton Foster, Michael Feinstein, Branford Marsalis, Kelly O'Hara, Harold Danko, a whole bunch of notable celebrities. And his most notable performances were on the Today Show with Al Roker and performing for President Barack Obama and then Vice President Joe Biden. Since 2022, George has been the drummer for Keith Lockhart and the Boston Pops Orchestra, which is no small feat. That's the seat to get. So we're really thrilled for George that that's his position. So you are in for a treat when you hear George's compositions. They're all fantastic. I do want to say a word about the first ensemble today. Our percussion ensemble, it was funny, I was going through old documents making some kind of proposal, and I found a description of the percussion ensemble from like, I don't know, 7 years ago or something when it began. And it said something about a casual group of students banging on pots and pans and whatnot. And it's really grown some. They are a very professional ensemble performing world premieres every time they perform, and they are multi-rhythmic, polyrhythmic, professional group of students performing at a very high caliber. So this is our percussion ensemble here to kick off this night. George Darrah and the Percussion Ensemble.
Thanks everyone for coming out. This is very exciting for me and for hopefully for everyone behind me as well. Just a couple of notes on this piece. I wrote this specifically for this concert. The percussion ensemble I started in 2018, so I guess it's been almost 7 years now, and we've come a long way. And this is, I think, as big as we've been, maybe within 12 or 13 people. But this first piece, it's a 3-movement, short movements. You'll hear a slight pause in between. And I just wanted to explore a couple different percussion techniques and give you kind of a greatest hits of what we do. So here is the Endicott Percussion Ensemble. fortunate to work with so many really, really great musicians when I'm not teaching at Endicott. And this one in particular, I actually started working with when I started playing with the Boston Pops. And I'd heard of Ben for years as a jazz pianist, but I never worked with him before. But then as I started playing with the orchestra, what I noticed was he could do a lot more than just jazz. And I mean, that's a very demanding chair for playing the piano with that orchestra, in that you have to play things like Harry Potter and all these really, really hard pianistic things. But then what I learned with Ben is he's an incredible pop pianist. He can really do it all, and he was, for years and years and years, he was in Boston doing theater shows, and so I really, once I was able to get him for my orchestra, which you'll hear a little later, I said, well, I have to have him play something hard. So just a couple of things to note about Ben Cook. He's performed with many, many different big stars, Broadway stars, performed with Aretha Franklin. You can hear him next month in March with the Boston Symphony Orchestra. We'll both be doing that concert with Terence Blanchard with a tribute to Coltrane, and that'll be great. And it's well known that he is John Williams' favorite pianist. Please welcome Ben Cook.
George met the poet for this piece, playing music, and the poet is actually an MIT professor in linguistics, and he's written many books and poems, but he's also a jazz trombonist on the side, and so they crossed paths and have worked together a few times, and this poem came about as a reflection on COVID. It was a longing for something beautiful and something real, and I think a lot of us felt this sort of weird missing out, or missing of something, missing of things in our lives. And so that was the response of this poem. And then George wanted to set it to music as almost a celebration of us coming back after COVID, after being silent and not being able to sing and perform so much. And so in 2021, George set this text to music, and this is the outpouring of the piece, Sailing Toward More. We've performed it in Sweden a few years ago with some of our senior members or older members of our choir, and it's been refreshed. George rewrote it to add a tenor part because we have so many tenors and basses, which is great. So this is the new version of Sailing Toward More.
So this is very exciting for me. This project has been a long time in the making. Actually, it's hard to believe this is going to happen because in 2020, March 13th, I don't know if you all remember that date, but this project was actually supposed to premiere in Manchester by the Sea at Manchester Essex High School, and obviously we all know what happened with March 13th. And then, so just life has gotten in the way, and I've just been really busy. But this was a good excuse to try this again and hold my breath that a pandemic doesn't shut us down. So, so without further ado, you will hear some of the best jazz musicians in the country today. So, I'm very, very fortunate to work with all of them, and I'm so grateful that they are willing to play my music. So, here we go with all the best. And that last one, that was Pete Da Silva on soprano saxophone. And you heard once again Ben Cook on piano. So this next tune, we always try, we owe so much to Duke Ellington in terms of the music world in general, in terms of jazz. This piece was written by Billy Strayhorn for Duke Ellington, and it's never, as far as I know, it's not ever been recorded as a big band chart. It was really just a piano solo for Duke Ellington. So I wrote this during grad school to feature, well, it'll feature Pete Da Silva and Ben Cook once again. So here it is, Lotus Blossom. So during the pandemic in 2021, it came to a great shock to all of us that Chick Corea passed away. Chick Corea has had a long career doing many different projects, and certainly as a jazz musician, we owe a tremendous amount to him. It was really a great shock because he was doing free master classes on Facebook all about jazz, like hour-long master classes, a week. So it was really quite sad. So I wrote this really in response to his passing, but also to just really show how much I appreciate his music. So here is For Chick. Thank you, and that featured Rick DiMuzio on tenor saxophone. Ben Cook once again on piano. And Jeff Stout on trumpet. This next one is called The Shaman. It was originally inspired by the great Roland Kirk, who could, believe it or not, play two saxophones at the same time. So you're going to hear some of that sort of emulated in the sax section. So here is The Shaman. and that was let's see, Jason Miele on Barry sax. Randy, and that was Randy Pingree on trombone. And holding down the rhythm section, you heard Jesse Williams on bass. And this next one is called Passages, and it was originally written as a project for a solo violinist and jazz orchestra, and then this is just a new arrangement of it featuring Ben Cook on piano. So here we go. Okay, so we've come to the last piece of the program, but first let me introduce all of these guys. So first you've heard Ben Cook on piano, Jesse Williams on bass. You'll hear in a second the great Mike Caudell on tenor saxophone, on alto and several other woodwinds, Ryan Uray. On lead alto and soprano, Pete DeSilva. On tenor over here, Rick DiMuzio. On Barry sax, Jason Millet. In the trombones, you heard him a couple tunes ago, Randy Pingree. And on lead trombone, you heard him in the first piece, which I didn't announce, but that's Pete Finelli. And over there, sitting next to Pete, is Craig Robbins. And on bass trombone, Chris Beaudry. On lead trumpet, really being the musical background of the, or backbone, I should say, of the brass section. He's also a faculty member here at Endicott College, Dan Fleury. On second trumpet, you'll have a solo on this one, Adam Majeur. Yes. On third trumpet, Eric Smith. And right over there, the great Jeff Stout. I want to thank all of you for coming out. It's pretty unbelievable that you all came out to hear my music. And I want to also thank, first of all, Percussion Ensemble. You all did a great job. And also the chorus as well out there. And Becca Keneally for making this all happen. Yes, Becca. And also our new dean, Paige Williams. And Owen Burkett, who is running sound back there with his whole crew. Thank you, Owen. And I want to thank all of you for coming out for this. Thank you again. So this last tune I've done at pretty much every concert I've ever run. It's most of the time done as a small group tune, but I had to expand this for the Tokyo Jazz Fest a number of years ago, and it's well, people seem to like it, or at least my mom likes it, and she's out there, so I guess I have to play it today. So here it is, Celebration Samba. Thank you all. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.
And on behalf of everyone, we want to give you 3 roses, one for composing, one for drumming, and one for teaching. Thank you for all that you do.